Now, all right, the next one, part 8. And some people, this is where I might be in some disagreement because I've seen this really high on some people's lists. But to me, well, it's the second one. It's Friday the 13th, part 6, Jason Lives. Now, with Friday the 13th, part 6, it was. It just tried to add too much comedy. I didn't like it. The other ones before, I mean, they might have like a little joke or something here or there, but like Friday the 13th, part 6, it was like. They tried to throw too much comedy in, and they really, to me personally, they really cut back on the gore, which I didn't like. It was the first one where it was kind of like, oh, I mean, and that's just my own personal opinion, but I wanted sort of like 1 through 4 that had like those gory, grisly kills, and 6 just didn't have it for me. It was, I thought it was very tame, and then with the comedy, it was an okay flick. Don't get me wrong, I still enjoy watching. I'll go back to it all the time, and especially it's on TV. I'll stop and watch it if it's on TV. But compared to some of the other ones in the series, I just didn't like it as much. I know some people liked like some of the comedy aspects of it and everything, and the corny one-liners. I just wasn't a huge fan of it. So that's why number 6 is number 8 on my list. Okay, moving on. Number 7 is Friday the 13th, Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. This is one. No, this is a classic one. This is one of the. I remember this being one of the first Jason movies that I've actually saw. I didn't start like at the beginning. This I remember on it was on USA Up All Night, and I remember going down watching. I loved it. I absolutely love it. And this is like to me one of the most. It still has a very like 80s vibe, even though it's made at the end of the 80s. It still has a very like corny 80s vibe, which I do like. I understand a lot of people had a problem that they like took him out of the whole woods element, and he wasn't in the woods. That didn't bother me. That didn't bother me that much, and I understand they were on the boat a lot of the time, but I still thought a lot of the scenes at the boat were cool, and I loved the scene where Julius is boxing him on the top of the roof, and he tells him, he said, "Go ahead and give me your best shot," and Jason just goes and clocks his fucking head off. That to me, that still it goes down in my memory as one of my favorite kills of the entire series. I love that. And there was definitely some things that that went and drug it down. I thought once his mask came off, I thought it was really lame. I didn't think he looked that scary. I mean, it's like he's good with his mask, but once the mask came off, I thought it was kind of lame. And the ending, I just wasn't a huge fan of the ending. But overall, wasn't a bad flick. So, and very nostalgic for me, so that's why I give number 8. Number 8 gets the number 7 spot on my list. Going now to my number 6 spot on the list is Part 7, The New Blood. Now, with Part 7 used to never be. It was always, I guess, it was always a good one. It never was like always real hot. It never was real hot, but some things went and actually moved it up. One thing that just cracks me up whenever I watch it, and if for those of you who haven't noticed, you got to go back. You got to go back and see. Whenever me and my buddies would watch it, the mom in that movie has a haircut that looks exactly like the helmet that Shredder wore in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. She's got the Shredder helmet hair. Go back and watch it. Me and my buddies would sit there and we would make Ninja Turtle jokes the entire time through, and we would crack ourselves up. We would like be like laughing out of control. Maybe it was just us, but we would do it. So I mean, go back and just see if you agree with me. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. But so that I've always liked too. But then I went and there was actually in this Blu-ray set. I was watching and I was listening to the director, John. I think his name was John Carl Buechler. Buechler, I'm not sure how to say his name. And he was talking and he was showing some extended scenes. And one of the problems that I always had with it was, again, it was okay, but it wasn't as as violent and gory as I wanted it. Well, they were going and talking about how the studios went and made them have to go and cut it back, and he actually showed some of the extended, some of the extended gore scenes, and they actually were really good. they were like, wow, they didn't want that in, but it was just cut out because they didn't want it to be too, they didn't want it to be too violent. But I've always, and also there was a part at the end where it's supposed to be this dad coming up, and they built this really cool, like freaky looking thing but then again the studio made him change it. Something like that. I don't remember. I don't really remember exactly what that was, but I just remember him talking about it, and it wasn't a bad flick. I love the end where the girl's going and she's just like fighting Jason with with her powers. I just thought that was cool, like that, and that ending fight. And it just had like a lot of like good characters, like because that's another thing I love about the Friday the 13th, especially when you have just those douchebag characters, the ones who you cheer for them to die. That's what you want. And I remember Part 7 having just a lot of really bitchy douchebag characters, which I know a lot of them do, but I remember liking the ones a lot in number 7. And number 7's another one that I remember like watching, like coming down and watching you on USA Up All Night. It was another one of the first that I watched. And I always really, really dug it, and that's why it's I think it's number 6. That's number 6 on my list. All right, going to number 5. Number 5, we have Friday the 13th. Part 2. The first time we actually go and get to see Jason. I thought Friday the 13th Part 2 was definitely a good flick. I actually didn't see Friday the 13th Part 2 till way later, because when I first went and started watching, I started, like I said, man, I think the first one I saw was either 7 or 8. So I hadn't seen this till later on, but I did. I thought it was definitely a good follow-up, a good start with Jason. I mean, I know he's wearing his little burlap sack throughout most of the movie. But I remember it actually like freaking me out a little bit when he goes and he jumps through that window at the end. And usually the Friday the 13th movies, they're not too bad, but I remember that part got me, where he goes and he jumps through that window at the end and he grabs the girl. I really thought that was good. I thought like the way they had him look and everything was really like it was creepy and good. I remember the movie being really having really good kills. And I remember the spike going through the couple as they're fucking on the bed. So there was some good kills. The guy getting his throat cut as he's like hanging upside down. So I really like it. It was a good first appearance of It was the first good appearance of Jason. I mean, the burlap sack, it was kind of like but I mean, I thought that there was a good payoff at the end where he goes and jumps through, because I thought the makeup and everything they did with him was pretty good. So that's why number 2 would get my 5th spot. Going for my 4th, for the 4th spot, the original Friday the 13th. I mean, what can you say? Again, I didn't see the original Friday the 13th till later, but I really did. I really thought it was such a good movie. I love, the Tom Savini effects. It's still just like top notch. Even when I go back and like watch them today, it's still just it's so good. I mean, I really, really do enjoy the movie, and I like Kevin Bacon too. I've always liked Kevin Bacon, so watching him in the movie, smoking a joint and then getting killed, it's always entertaining, and I did always like that part. That's another like classic kill of the series, that arrow going and coming up through his neck. It's like whenever I think of the series, it's iconic, and I love that. It has a couple good ones. That I mean, the axe right in right in the face, and then even just Mrs. Voorhees going and being decapitated at the end. I really, really did. I mean, enjoy it. It's always gonna be one of the best. It wasn't. I don't feel it's the very, very best, but it's up there. And some people, I know, some people don't think think it's that great, but I'll always really like that movie.